Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I have a special guest with us. Matt Orfala is with us. Now, Matt is an extraordinarily talented editor. And let me say hello. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hey, Jimmy.
He's also there with the Miserable Liberal and Low Brownie.
Hi, Jimmy.
So now, Matt, the way I got, I was on the internet one day, and I ran into this video that was edited, that was put together by someone. It was about Bernie Sanders. And it was a fantastic, it was moving, right? So, and then I was like, hey, maybe I should get a video to open my live shows that is kind of pumps people up like that. And I'm like, I'll just get that guy to do it. So I contacted, it's Matt Orfala. So if you've been to a live show and you've seen that awesome video that opens our show, he put it together and he just put another one together for us. So yeah, he does a great work. Come see the live show. You'll see his work there, right?
That's right. Yeah,
And
go
you
see
have
the
you
live
have a
show.
YouTube channel.
I
What?
do. Yeah, youtube.com/orf.
ORF.
It's pretty simple. Yeah, orf.
So youtube.com/orf. And that you go there, he's got a lot of great videos up. You do a lot of your own reporting, citizen journalism.
I do a bit of that. Yeah, a lot of mashup videos, a lot of videos with message. Trying to.
Yes, right. Like that Bernie video.
Yes. Yeah.
And here's another video he made me aware of, which was Julian Assange was at a TED Talk. And now Julian Assange is the real deal. He does well. First of all, he starts off. He's being interviewed at a TED Talk, and this TED Talk is in Oxford, England.
Yes.
And the interviewer asks him a pretty interesting question. Let's start with that.
Julian, welcome. It's been reported that WikiLeaks, your baby, has in the last few years has released more classified documents than the rest of the world's media combined. Can that possibly be true?
Yeah, can it possibly be true? It's a worry, isn't it? That the rest of the world's media is doing such a bad job that a little group of activists is able to release more of that type of information than the rest of the world press combined.
Yeah, that's kind of remarkable. And by the way, just a little stage management for you there. Maybe don't take off your jacket while you're answering the question. maybe you take it off while that guy's talking. When the camera's on him or what have you. I know, you're not a professional. You're a professional whistleblower, so I get it. That's where I come in. I can help you with that. So, but didn't they cheer right after he said that?
Yes.
Yeah, good that you cut that part out. That was nice.
No. Well, no, the louder. Well, we're going to get to the more audible
I
cheer.
know.
And there's many cheers.
So let's listen to that
but
again because that's pretty remarkable, I think.
Julian, welcome. It's been reported that WikiLeaks, your baby, has in the last few years has released more classified documents than the rest of the world's media combined. Can that possibly be true?
Yeah, can it possibly be true? It's a worry, isn't it? That the rest of the world's media is doing such a bad job that a little group of activists is able to release more of that type of information than the rest of the world press combined.
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel like I've been saying. The only, it's come to a point where people say, well, Jimmy, you have a big voice. I'm like, what? You know why? Because no one else will say anything truthful about war. That's why. It comes down to a jagoff comedian in his garage. And so you saw that, right? And that was, Matt, when you saw that, what did that make you think?
It made me feel kind of upset that, well, one, that was true 10 years ago, and that it's becoming more and more worse today.
So the interesting thing that people need to get, this is from 2010.
Yes.
So 2010, people, I think, still liked Julian Assange in general because he was outing war criminals inside the Bush administration. As far as people in America were concerned, was what he was doing. But now he started to move on to exposing, Barack Obama's wars, and people didn't start to like him so much.
Yeah.
And it was then it was the Trump-Clinton campaign that people were convinced that he's working for Russia because, he was saying, people are like, why doesn't he release any bad stuff about Trump? You need to release bad stuff about everything's already public. Yeah. What worse shit could you release about Trump that isn't already public? That's going to embarrass him.
Yeah, the really interesting thing to me, what makes going back and revisiting this talk so interesting, is that he's doing the same thing. He never started doing anything else. He's always just been leaking making public private information that should be public
Yes.
in the public interest. That's it. It's just exposing corruption. That's all he's been doing the whole time. But, we've kind of noticed if you watch the TV news every so often, he's not so popular anymore.
Right. He's not popular with journalists. Isn't that
not even
funny?
journalists.
Because he's been out doing their...
Also, let me say, this is totally mainstream. TED Talks. You can't get more mainstream than that.
Right.
And they're loving them.
Yeah.
And Matt, you're totally right about, when you're watching this with hindsight, it is even more disturbing because we see how, he's supposed to be doing this. There's supposed to be somebody out there who's doing the checks and balances because otherwise we're not getting that. And that he saw that there was a need because there's so much corruption that's rampant in the world, and there was no mechanism in place that's really exposing these criminalities that are happening,
ubiquitously.
Yes.
It's seemingly ubiquitously. Anyway, as soon as he again, it's just we talked about it earlier, and we'll talk about it again. But it's just a brilliant PR job that the Democrats and the Hillary Clinton and the establishment did. That nobody did an autopsy on the Democratic Party after it lost to Trump. Nobody. The Republicans at least did an autopsy. The Democrats never did that. In fact, they never even put anybody in trouble for rigging the primary. And that Donna Brazile revealed was completely 100% corrupted and rigged. And then all that money that people were donating, and they thought that money to the DNC was going to down ticket races. Turns out Donna Brazile also revealed, no, that was all going to the Clinton Brooklyn office. So all that money people thought they were giving to the Democratic Party, they were really was being funneled to her. I still don't understand how that's not big process. I guess I do understand. So that was a brilliant campaign they did to get everybody thinking about Russia and Bernie bros and people who didn't vote, voter shaming, the whole thing, instead of being upset that you don't have a candidate that it inspires more people to vote for them. Nobody had to finger wag over Barack Obama. So now we're going to get to another part of this. Julian Assange reveals, this is back in 2010. So here he's going to reveal right on this TED Talk, he actually makes some news, but he's also going to reveal the impact real journalism has on governments, politics, and eventually people's actual lives. Here, watch this.
This is something you leaked a few years ago, if we can have this document up. So this was a story in Kenya a few years ago. Can you tell us what you leaked and what happened?
So this is the Kroll report. This was a secret intelligence report commissioned by the Kenyan government after its election in 2004. Prior to 2004, Kenya was ruled by Daniel Arap Moi for about 18 years. He was a soft dictator of Kenya. And when Kibaki got into power through a coalition of forces that were trying to clean up corruption in Kenya, they commissioned this report, spent about £2 million on this and an associated report. And then the government sat on it and used it for political leverage over Moi, who was the richest man, still is the richest man in Kenya. It's the holy grail of Kenyan journalism. So I went there in 2007 and we managed to get hold of this just prior to the election, the national election, December 28.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. What he's saying here is in Kenya, these reformers issued a report, or they funded a report, cost £2 million, to kind of do a survey of the government and see what was corrupted, what wasn't, who was corrupted, who wasn't, that kind of a thing. So it's like this big overview. And then instead of publishing it, they used it to blackmail people.
Exactly.
That's what
my
he's saying.
understanding, yeah.
Right, okay.
When we released that report, we did so 3 days after the new president, Kibaki, had decided to pal up with the man that he was going to clean out, Daniel Arap Moi.
So what he just said there was the guy who got elected as a reformer decided to, instead of reforming, he decided to buddy up with the guy he was supposed to be kicking out and replacing. And that's when Julian Assange, so 3 days later after Julian Assange saw this, he's like, well, F it. They were going to both sit on the report because they had now buddied up. And he was like, wait a minute, there's corruption in that government. I have the report. I'll release it. So that's what happened, right?
Yes. Is anyone noticing a little similarity here? Well, keep listening.
So this report then became a dead albatross around President Kibaki's neck.
And I mean, to cut a long story short, word of the report leaked into Kenya, not from the official media, but indirectly. And in your opinion, it actually shifted the election.
Yeah, so this became front page of The Guardian and was then printed in all the surrounding countries of Kenya, in Tanzania and South African press. And so it came in from the outside. And that, after a couple of days, made the Kenyan press feel safe to talk about it. And it ran for 20 nights straight on Kenyan TV, shifted the vote by 10%, according to a Kenyan intelligence report, which changed the result of the election.
Wow. So your leak really substantially changed the world.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a room full of liberals applauding the a leak of classified information actually changing the outcome of an election. And they used to be all for it. Isn't that something?
It is.
Well, because it was another country.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's another country.
I guess Julian Assange is an African spy.
He's working, yeah, that's right, exactly. He's working for the Kenyans. I always knew it. It was either Russia or the Kenyans. And we're reminded that, of course, there's only one bad guy in the world, and it's Putin, again, not Saudi Arabia. Okay, or anybody in Kenya. That's how you can tell the phoniness of the corporate news in America. You know, they have their Washington, D.C. party every year, the correspondence dinner, and they all get there and backslap each other and tell everybody, give each other hand jobs about what good reporters they are, right? Except nobody talks about Julian Assange, the guy who actually breaks more stories, releases more classified information than all of them put together, has more of a positive effect in the world. They don't even, A, mention his name, B, mention that he's being persecuted for doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, but they're not doing it. Why? Because they're part of that class. It's a class issue. So once the newspaper people got in the class, that upper 10%, they're not supposed to be from there. They're supposed to be from where I'm from. They're supposed to be blue-collar people who don't have a big interest in buddying up with the elite because they would stick out like a sore thumb. Well, now that's all over. Now the news people want to be the elite. They want to be the celebrities. And that's why they suck. Am I wrong?
No.
Well,
Okay.
you never see Brian Williams leaning in and speaking out on one of the Julian Assange vigils, do
No,
you?
never.
You don't see any one of those mainstream media talking heads on that.
So they
You don't
can-
see Anderson Cooper in his tight tee saying, hey, we have to release Julian Assange.
You do not see that stuff. Go ahead,
There's
Matt.
so many funny things about this, and that, like, one, this is taking place in the country where they're applauding Julian Assange right in this video. 10 years later, he's
He's
actually
imprisoned.
much sooner after
Yeah,
this. Actually,
8 years.
He's essentially held captive in that country, in the Ecuadorian embassy.
Right. So just a few years after they're applauding him releasing classified information that changes an election, they were also
It was-
applauding their government for imprisoning him, basically.
Yeah, I believe it was pretty soon after this. Actually,
Yeah. Okay. So
And
they're-
then fast forward, we get Gina Haspel, who
Who's that?
loves torturing people, and
Yep.
now she's the head of CIA. What could go wrong?
what could go wrong? Well, it already went wrong. Barack Obama was supposed to prosecute those people who were carrying out war crimes, and he didn't. He said, because we're looking forward, we're not looking back. That. So now we have we have Kavanaugh in the Supreme Court, which is a direct result of him not prosecuting those people, and we also have Gina Haspel as the head of the CIA, which is another direct result. So that's the result of not prosecuting war crimes. Those people get rehabilitated and then become the head of our spy agencies, intelligence agencies, and they sit in our Supreme Court. Way to go. Yeah, that is ironic that here he is sitting in that same country being applauded, and just a little while after that, he got imprisoned and they applaud that too. Just goes to show you how easily people's minds are made of mush and how the propaganda works. That's why they do it, because it works.
and can I just say, I recommend the whole video to everyone, where you can actually see the full, hear the full audience's applause throughout the whole thing.
Yes.
I apologize. Yes, I'm the great editor who fucked up that edit.
So now it gets better. Watch this question, because this is the question that people like to throw at him all the time.
what would you say to, for example, the parent of someone whose son is out serving the U.S. military, and he says, you know what, you've put up something that someone had an incentive to put out. It shows a U.S. soldier laughing at people dying. That gives the impression, has given the impression to millions of people around the world that U.S. soldiers are inhuman people. Actually, they're not. My son isn't. How dare you? What would you say to that?
I was like, wow, I wonder what he's going to say to that too. And because that's the thing people always like to, oh, you're giving away this, you're compromising, you're risking people's death. No one can ever tie a death to what he's exposing people who are killing people illegally. And so that's the irony there. But what I think his answer was surprising to me. Watch.
Yeah, we do get a lot of that. But remember, the people in Baghdad, the people in Iraq, the people in Afghanistan, they don't need to see the video. They see it every day. So it's not going to change their opinion. It's not going to change their perception. That's what they see every day. It will change the perception and opinion of the people who are paying for it all. And that's our hope.
I didn't see that answer coming. So just to recap, the question was again, hey, what about people who have a soldier fighting in this war, and you release a video that show them killing someone and laughing about it, and now everyone thinks all the American soldiers are animals like that, and my son's at risk more because of it, and blah, blah. And he says that's not news to the people in Iraq or Afghanistan or Libya. That's not news to them that Americans are killing people indiscriminately. It's only news to us. And he's saying that's who he's hoping to affect by releasing that. He's not trying to affect the people in those countries where we're killing people. They already know. Like, that was such a devastating answer to me. And now I'm glad I saw that, because now I'll have that in my back pocket forever to defend whistleblowers. Because, yeah, you forget about that. The people in the Middle East know the game that the United States have been playing since the end of World War II and the invention of the CIA. They know we overthrew Mossadegh in Iran was it 54?
53.
53. They know that. They know we've been doing that, and we've been spreading Wahhabism at the behest of Saudi Arabia because of the petrodollar. They know that. They know we went into Iraq. They know we went into Kuwait, Libya. We're in Syria. We ain't leaving Afghanistan for 17 years. They know that this isn't news to them. It's only news to the people back here, and that's who he's hoping to affect. That was kind of amazing. Now here's.
May I just make one comment?
Yeah.
I think, another thing that was great about the answer is he made clear he's not trying to villainize American soldiers. His intention, his hope, is to reach the people who are funding the wars.
Right.
And change their minds, change their hearts.
Right, because right now we're bombarded with images a lot of times that have nothing to do with the wars that are happening in the world. Nothing. They're not covering any of the wars. They're not covering any of the consequence of war. And here is Julian Assange and WikiLeaks revealing the ugliness of what's really happening.
Yes. Well, here's another. This is a great question. So now, remember, this is 2010 in England, and he's going to poll the audience about. Watch this poll. Well, this is amazing from our perspective to see the result of this rather unscientific poll that he does right there in front of us. Here we go.
I'd actually be interested, just based on what we've heard so far, just to get I'm curious as to the opinion in the TED audience, and there might be a couple of views of WikiLeaks and of Julian. Hero, people's hero, bringing this important light, dangerous troublemaker. Who's got the hero view? Who's got the dangerous troublemaker view? Well,
Oh, come on.
I'd actually be
kind of amazing. They all thought he was a hero. Everybody, ubiquitous, at a frickin' TED Talk. That's pretty mainstream, liberal, down the middle, fastball stuff, right? TED Talk. Everybody thinks he's here. Nobody thought he was a dangerous menace, and he's like, "Oh, come on, somebody's got to think that. You got to give me some street cred." Yeah, I'd want someone to think I'm a dangerous menace, too. Right? That's nice. Some people actually do think that about me, so that is nice. That's good. Now here's the end. This is the end of the TED Talk. It was only like 20-some minutes that I saw. Right?
It's just 20 minutes.
Yeah, so it's not that long. So here's the end of it, and watch how they react again.
Well, it looks like I'm reflecting the audience's opinion to say, Julian, be careful and all power to you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Look at this.
What a difference. Wow, what a difference a year or two makes. So there you
Shocking.
go. Now he revealed a little bit too much information about the war. Remember, then they went on, the United States, Barack Obama went on to torture Chelsea Manning after that, right?
Yes.
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 For several years.
Yes, it was revealed a couple years later.
Edward Snowden, still out of the country. And then they make a movie called The Post that celebrates whistleblowers who reveal war crimes by our government and the lies of 4 different administrations about the Vietnam War. And everybody cheers the paper for printing it, and everybody cheers the guy, and all the actors are doing, and no one ever talks about Julian Assange. And they walk out of that cheering the Post, doing the exact same thing Julian Assange is doing, and hating Julian Assange still. Isn't that amazing? That's the mental tricks people do. Just like we talked about the mental tricks people do. They hate Ralph Nader for giving us George Bush, but those same people love George Bush. So this is kind of wild, and to see it happen, play out in real. So it's going to take 40 more years before the establishment and the mainstream culture realizes what a hero Julian Assange is. I guess that's what that means. And maybe they'll have to. Right now, they're trying to kill him.
Yes,
So
most definitely. You know they got
Yeah.
some people right outside that embassy ready to put them in a bag.
yes. All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate you bringing this to my attention, Matt. Everybody check out Matt Orfila's channel. It's youtube.com/orf. That's youtube.com/ORF. Go check out his videos. He does great work.
Thanks so much.
Please make sure you're subscribed. Even if you think you are subscribed, there's a good chance you're not. So please check. It only takes a second. And then click that bell. And that's how you know you'll get a notice every time we drop a video. They still won't notify you every time we drop a video, but that's the best we can do. Plus, if you like the show, you want to support it, please become a patron. We give you hours of bonus material every week. And come see a live show. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for our live schedule.